Welcome to the Empowered Soccer Society, where we believe in working smarter, not harder, so you have more time and energy for the things that truly matter. Each week, we share a powerful strategy with a new guest expert to help you achieve more with less effort. If you want to get these weekly tips, subscribe to the channel, follow the podcast, and be sure to sign up for our weekly email newsletter. Everything is linked below. Let's get into this week's tip.
Hi, I'm Kerry, and I'm delighted to talk to you today about one of my favourite topics, which is that grown-ups need to play too. These days, I run an online art school, but a few years ago, I was doing something very different, and I remember feeling like I was burdened with far too many very serious things. I was working as a university lecturer in the Faculty of Business and Economics. I just moved to Australia with my husband, and there was no family around. Then I had twins, and I was also finishing my PhD at the time. So I remember feeling very busy, quite overwhelmed, and like every minute of my day was scripted. So I think that we all have our own versions of this at one or other time in our lives. Every one of us is fulfilling multiple roles and has many responsibilities to juggle. When I was at my kind of most overwhelmed, I got this crazy idea to hire a digital piano and start teaching myself to play the piano. I'd never played before. And it might have seemed like a crazy thing to do because I had so much else on my plate, but I really just needed to do something that was just for me and just for fun and something that didn't matter at all. What I needed to do was to play. And I think that's one of the solutions when you're in this situation. You probably can't get rid of half of your roles and responsibilities, but maybe you can give yourself a little bit of balance by finding a way to play. As it turned out, the playing the piano was rather an ambitious project to take on as play. So I've kind of refined my idea of what makes a better playful activity. I think what you're looking for is something that's very quick, something that you can do in about 10 minutes that you can pick up and put down at a whim. Something that's fun. So it has to have very low stakes, maybe even no stakes. It doesn't matter to anyone but you. And it's purely for the fun of the process and for no other reason at all. And very importantly, you need to be using your hands. So if you were thinking, oh, 10 minutes of play, I can do 10 minutes of Candy Crush, no problem, I'm afraid that isn't probably going to have the same effect. Because if you're anything like me, and I suspect we're all the same, it's very noisy in my head. And I feel like sometimes there's a bunch of chattering monkeys in there, a whole zoo full of monkeys. And every so often, you need to do something to calm the monkeys down. The way I visualize me and the world, and I think it applies to all of us, is we've got this. I suppose it's to me. I see it like a tunnel of information flying at me at 100 miles an hour all day long, and that's our busy, exciting world. And with the TikTok pace of things, that's happening faster and faster. We can't really stop that happening, and our brains are designed to cope with it. They're filtering the information that's flying at us all day long. But that's what can be a bit exhausting. You can't stop it and stop the chattering monkeys, but I think what does help is to reverse the flow of information. Instead of drinking from the faucet, consuming and consuming, if you can start creating something, work with your hands a little bit, it puts you back in control. You're now controlling the flow of that information, you're controlling the pace of it, and there's quite a relief in that. And it's not to be underestimated, the power of actually working with your hands. There's a great book about this. It's written by an interesting couple. She's a psychologist and he is a hand surgeon. And they talk about how happiness is really in our own two hands because it's a basic biological need. When we were cavemen, if you wanted anything, food, shelter, clothing, you had to actually make it with your hands. So we've evolved with this kind of biological need to create things with our two hands. And I think they're so right. I find that really helps me. So let's think about the sort of playful activities we could do that might be helpful here. And it's really what you love to do. You've got to find something that you consider to be playful, something tactile and fun. So knitting, crochet, cross stitch, origami, coloring books, stickers, any of these things would do. My favorite is sketchbooks because it's so customizable. It can be from something that's almost more like a journal to something that's almost like a book of paintings, and anything in between. So I'll have a little bit more information about that for you later on. But really, you could choose anything here. And there's so many benefits for playing. It's the sensory nature of it puts us in the present moment straight away. And this is really important. If we're anxious, what we're doing is worrying about things in the future. And what's often recommended to people suffering from anxiety is to do anything that can bring them into the present. And this sort of sensory activity does it straight away. Very hard to be worrying about stuff when you're just enjoying playing with lovely fabric or bright, beautiful colors. And paradoxically, when we're stressed out, what we probably need to access is our problem-solving abilities and our creativity. When you're stressed out, those neural pathways actually aren't available to you. You need to engage the parasympathetic nervous system to be able to access them. So giving yourself a little bit of a break and a play is actually going to probably help you resolve anything that might be troubling you. If it doesn't actually resolve it, it puts you in a stronger position to do your best to address it. I always think of these sort of playful activities as being like meditating for people who don't like meditating. You know, we are active, creative doers. We like to do stuff. We don't really like to be told not to do things, which is really sometimes what meditating feels like. So it's worth giving it a go if you're someone who would like to meditate and finds that a little bit trickier. This might give you some similar benefits. And when we do something playful like this, when you make something, doesn't have to be a beautiful thing, just has to be a thing. It reminds you of your own power, that you are in control, you can make stuff, you can do things. And another advantage is that it helps you stop losing sight of the joy in all of the busyness of life. And this isn't as superficial as it might sound. Please don't think it's trivial. When we feel a bit more joyful, we have this rush of hormones, you know, dopamine, serotonin, all of that. And that makes you feel good, makes you feel better, more comfortable to be in your body that way. But it also makes you more resilient and better able to cope with whatever is happening around you. And it's a way to find a bit of balance because stress is normal, but we don't want to be constantly stressed. We want some ebb and flow. So putting a few moments of play in your day is a great, easy way to do that. And for me, it's a way to distract those noisy, chattering monkeys. You know, they're in there and they're going all day long if you're anything like me. But the other thing that's in there is a little wise voice. And it's only when the chattering monkeys calm down that the wise voice has a chance to be heard. And this is why sometimes when there's maybe a work problem you've been mulling over and you're a bit stuck on, you go away, do something different for a bit. When you come back, suddenly it kind of seems to have resolved itself. And I think that's what this is. I think it's your calm, rational, wise self has just had a little bit of moments of peace from those monkeys and figured out what to do. So it all sounds good in theory, but I hear you saying, oh, this won't work for me because I'm not creative. Well, I'm afraid if you're human, you're creative. It's just a part of who we are. And people who say they're not creative usually have some sort of idealized notion of what they perceive creativity to be. But I encourage you to take a broader view of creativity. Often people who say this sort of thing are saying that they can't draw. And really, you can do things that don't require any artistic skill. Please remember, I'm an accountant. If I can have fun doodling in a sketchbook, anybody can do it. And I've got a page up there to show you that you can do fun things that require absolutely zero art skills. But Kerry, I just don't have time. Well, please, let's remember it's only 10 minutes. And there's that little bit of Zen wisdom that I'm sure we've all heard, that you should sit in meditation for 20 minutes a day, unless you're very busy, and then you should sit for an hour. So the busier you feel, probably the greater your need is to give yourself a little bit of a break. And the other objection that this for me was, I think, the biggest is that this is not producing anything useful. You know, what is the purpose of this sketchbook? And actually, I have come to the conclusion that that is exactly the point. The purpose is not to create a product. The purpose is to increase your own production capacity. Now, personal production capacity is something that Stephen Covey talks about in The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And that's just that idea that we've already talked about, where giving yourself a chance to regenerate a little bit is a way of improving your resilience and creativity and ability to create in the future. And all of these are good reasons why grown-ups need to play too. And I did promise that I had a little guide about sketchbooks. So there are so many things you could choose as your playful activity. But if you're interested in delving into the marvelous world of sketchbooks, and obviously I highly recommend it, my little guide will start you off by helping you choose the perfect sketchbook for you, because there is a lot out there to choose from. So I've got some ideas of how you might go about that. And then the next thing is, what do you put on that first page? And I've got 5 really easy ideas that you can try just to get you started. So head over to the link. I've put it up on the slide there, and I'm sure it'll be linked around here somewhere. And thank you very much for listening, and I hope you have a very playful day.
We hope you enjoyed this Slacker hack of the week. Remember, smart work beats busy work. Until next time, stay empowered, stay slacking. If you want to do a good deed of the day and help us grow the channel and bring you even more amazing content, leave us a comment, subscribe, leave us a review, do all the things. We'll see you guys next time.